Nothing yet? Sorry.
Slow down, you move too fast. Gotta make the morning last. Kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. Ba da 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 da, feeling groovy.
Well, welcome everybody to the bridge. We have Gina. I'm gonna leave your last name alone, Gina. Is that okay?
Just Gina is fine.
Gina. And we are on episode 97.
Wow.
Almost
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And Sandy's going to open us with a quote, and then I'm going to give you the floor to kind of introduce yourself.
Okay, awesome.
So I am my career was being an early childhood educator, administrator, and one of my I loved children's stories. I loved children's literature, and one of my favorites was Winnie the Pooh. And our author, A. Milne, is the person we're going to quote today. And this is some information that he passed on in Winnie the Pooh. Promise me you'll always remember you're braver than you believe and stronger than you see, smarter than you think. I love it.
I love that.
That's a good one. That's a good
Love
one. So, Gina, I was telling you earlier that one of my favorite subjects in the whole world is theater and improv, and you are very talented in that area.
Thank
And
you.
we are very happy to have you on. And can you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll go from there?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'll try not to cough too much. Just fair warning for everybody. I'm battling a bit of a whatever's going around. I'm Gina Trimarco Klauder. It's a lot. It's a lot to say. I own Carolina Improv Company in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. That's just one of my entities. And then the consulting part of that is Carmine Communications. So what I do is I go into organizations and look at how I can improve their organizational health. Really, I look at myself as an employee advocate to make everybody work better together. And improv is a big piece of it. It's not the only piece of it, but what I have found with improv is that it's such a great soft skills tool for communication and emotional intelligence, which led me to coin the phrase improvised intelligence. Because if you look at emotional intelligence, being self-aware and socially aware, everything that we do in improv on stage lends itself to that. You have to be aware of what's going on around. And so that is really what my passion is. I've had my theater now for 17-ish years. We were shut down during COVID for a few years. We lost our actual space. And so now we operate from a pop-up perspective. So we've got the entertainment side of what we do, and then we've got the corporate side of what we do. And that also encapsulates consulting, coaching. It's a whole holistic perspective.
Tell me again what you said. You call it
Improvised intelligence.
Improvised intelligence. I love that. You know, in improv, you have to be fully present.
Yes.
And that's the big word now in emotional intelligence. And it's like it's always been there in improv.
Right.
And so I'm glad you're spreading it around.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, you kind of were telling me about, getting into improv and then coming back to it. Can you tell me a little bit about that journey?
Sure. I'm originally from Chicago, and if you know anything about Chicago, one of its iconic things is improv. Second City. Many people who get discovered for Saturday Night Live went through Second City. I, as a teenager, went to shows at Second City.
Wow.
And then I had a mid-college crisis my freshman year of college. And I was an accounting major to appease my father. And I'm really bad at math. And I was always a creative. So I was having a little bit of a meltdown. So I started looking around for other like, should I change my major? Should I change schools? And long story short, I went to a vocational school to check it out for radio, television, film, and that the counselor there said to me, he shut the door and he said, "You don't want to go here." I said, "Why don't you take an improv class?" And he was taking improv classes at Second City. So I got started in improv when I was a freshman in college and had these big dreams that I was going to be discovered and go to Saturday Night Live. It didn't happen. What I did discover in my early journey was that I really enjoyed behind the scenes, the producing, the writing, the directing, more so than the performing. Now I say that, but I still perform.
Sure.
So that was my early start in it, and what ended up happening was I ended up changing my major. So improv opened the door for me to see the possibilities that the world had,
Right.
and we lose that. Like we have it when we're young, and then we lose this belief that we can be anything we want to be or we can do whatever we want to do, and improv keeps that alive. And so I think because I was taking it at such a young age, it kept me very childlike throughout my entire life to this day, that I look at the world with curiosity and I look at the world with what if.
Uh-huh.
And so I ended up going down this career path of marketing and public relations in the entertainment world. That took me through operations. So I was very well rounded. And then when I took a job in another state, I ended up starting an improv company because nothing existed in that state for improv. And in order to just kind of refresh myself on this, what I call an attitude adjustment that improv can fix, I had to actually start a business to do it. And I lost my job. This was 2008. I lost my job 1 week before my first class that I was going to teach started,
Oh,
and then I was in business.
Oh, you entrepreneur, you.
So again, that's how it started. It's I had business cards and a website, and it was 2008, and I was off and running.
That's awesome. And you know, when I think about theater, you really learn everything in theater. I mean, you know, you learn all the management stuff and you know, it's all embedded under one topic because you have to do it all.
Yeah, and I think my background in entertainment marketing, so I was a marketing director and a PR director and a sales director for live theater productions. So I had a business acumen behind what we say, putting
right.
butts in seats. So with that being said, I also knew that I wasn't going to get rich or make a living.
Yep.
So I knew that I had to approach it with a different outcome perspective,
Yeah.
specifically corporate training,
Mhm.
using improv, because I knew I wasn't going to get rich on just standing on stage and selling out improv shows.
Oh, you know, and you've got such a story. I mean, you capsulized it when you said we have that what if when we're kids, and
Yeah.
then somehow we lose it. And it usually is sometime in college. And then we get out and you've got a story to tell. Have you told the story, Miss Ryder?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I wrote a book.
Oh, okay. Okay.
This my book came out in December.
Okay.
It's called The New Choice Effect, and
Okay.
I chronicle some of that in there. And the New Choice Effect, New Choice is actually an improv game that helps you quickly make decisions.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
wow. I
yeah,
love it. No, I didn't know you had a book. I'm gonna
yeah. I
put
forgot to
that
tell you.
in the notes. That's
Post
good.
it out.
Well,
Post
yeah,
it on the
but your story is so important, you know, and the heartbreak and the, you know, the walking into closed doors and figuring out that you didn't fit, you know.
Yeah, and what the beauty of improv, it makes you so resilient.
right.
And again, it's that childlike mindset of, children don't take no for an answer.
Right.
children don't have filters. Children don't see the impossibilities, they see the possibilities. And I think that's just always been my approach. I mean, and I talk about this in the book too, that in improv, we actually crave failure and we're wired for it. And we've rewired our brains for failure through improv because when we get on stage, there's a 50% chance that we're going to crash and burn and
Mhm.
that we're going to fail. But 100% of the time, the audience laughs at us.
Right.
Yeah.
So imagine you
Yeah.
do that enough.
Yeah, the feedback is positive.
Right. I failed, you laughed. I failed, you clapped. And so you start to not fear failure. You start to approach everything with like, what's the worst thing that can happen? They laugh at me.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's a rewiring of the brain.
I love the childlike spirit, Gina, that you carry. I think that and lose the joy of living. I've got childlike thought process too, and I probably part of the reason why I was in early childhood education is that I loved approaching life from that angle of wonder and that kind of thing. And it sounds like you do the same thing.
Well, as educators, I want to share this with you. There was a study that was done through NASA. NASA hired these two doctors to do this study on creativity in children, and they tested these children at the ages 5, 10, and 15. And at age 5, 98% of them tested as creative geniuses.
Right.
And they did this study because they wanted to understand creativity in their rocket scientists and engineers. And so they followed those kids from 5 to 10 to 15. And so they went from 98% creative geniuses to 32% to 12%. So by age 15, only 12% were testing as creative geniuses. And then they gave that same test to 180,000 adults. And of those adults, only 2% tested as creative genius. So what the study showed is that we lose the creativity. It's
Right.
beaten out of us. We're socialized out of it. And a lot of it is through education, and because of the Industrial Revolution that we needed to produce workers
Mhm.
and shorter classes. And so we don't have time to be creative. Hurry up,
Right.
get the work
Right.
done. And so
Well,
that's where we lose it.
well,
Yeah.
learning becomes fear based because failure is not an option. So
Right.
therefore, you shut down, like you said, and you quit looking around the corner. What's around the corner? What can I do
Exactly.
differently? Yeah, absolutely.
And education, the gentleman who was just on before you talked about guardrails and then opening up, and there needs to be a balance. And so often as kids, we just see the guardrails. And I think you said earlier, Sandy, the fear based, and when you hit that wall in improv, it's on automatic what if.
Right.
You have,
Well,
and you have to jump in the minute.
and most
Exactly.
likely, yeah, and most likely we had adults in our life that made us feel shame for that making a mistake or not ever. Even as an adult, we can still let that happen if we're not careful to protect our
Yeah.
heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember reading this years ago, but and talking about negative feedback and even parenting. But girls between the ages of 7 and 9 are very, very um, they take feedback personally, and they just start. That's when they really start shutting down if they don't have parents and educators that are helping them with the what ifs.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that turns into as they age, I don't know the statistics on this. I do know that more women have imposter syndrome than men do.
Right.
Right. Right.
So that, it starts to transition into that.
Right. And then it's interesting, you would think going from high school to college that opportunities would open up. And it seems as you get nearer to that 4-year mark, your options narrow. Like you said, you your dad says something or somebody says something, and then you think you have no choices at all.
Right.
Yeah. Well, that even carries over. So I remember listening to a marriage seminar, and the person who was doing the seminar was talking about the difference between men and women and the fact that guys, no matter what shape their body is in, they can still feel really, you'll see them kind of preen in front of the mirror and that kind of thing, even though they're not. And women have had a tendency to feel shame somehow about their body. I mean, girls worry about what they look like at a very early age.
Yeah.
And that carries over into adulthood. And guys, on the other hand, will feel like, I'm looking pretty good today, kind of thing. We can imagine them in the mirror, kind of, and that was interesting to me because I was having a conversation with my daughters. We talk about the fact that we kind of just felt shame even when we were looking good and didn't realize it. I mean, I was always thinking, oh, I needed to lose weight. Well, man, I look back and now and I think I was looking pretty good back then, and I didn't even recognize that.
I was just gonna say that I have gone through that my entire life where I'm like, oh, I thought that girl was fat. She looked good. But in that moment, I didn't think I looked good.
No, it's such a negative culture piece that we all seem to swallow that pill. It's a challenge. Just this week, I have been using the term pioneer, and especially in fact, I think my new series is going to be called Pioneer Women. And because there's so many women, especially like you, an entrepreneur, and I know Sandy and I have been through this, that we were pioneers in breaking whatever it is, a glass ceiling or whatever. And it's an interesting word. I'm not sure everybody likes it, but it really does describe the process that a lot of women have gone through, that you've broken through a barrier, you've done stuff where said, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing that. You should be doing this.
Yeah.
Well, I think that imposter syndrome that you were talking about, Gina, is just part of what women dealt with growing up and carried over into their adult life, is feeling like an imposter, feeling like you're not enough, feeling like you're not enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So can you give us, do you need to take care of something?
No, I'm trying to stop the noises.
That's all right.
I can't stop it on my laptop.
We'll make them walls and we'll bump into them and say, what if? So can you give us an example of a time when you were a pioneer?
There's so many.
Yeah, right. It sounds like it.
I think I was a pioneer when I opened an improv theater in a mall.
Oh yeah.
A pop-up improv theater, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I literally built out a commercial space in a mall that became our theater, and that actually spurred other people to come to the mall and open theaters in the mall.
Oh, I would love to have seen that. I love theaters, so that would be so cool to be shopping and something like that.
Yeah, because the theater had the mall had they had occupancy issues, so I went, and actually someone had taken one of my classes, and that's when I was like teaching wherever, popping up, and the guy was the marketing manager for the mall, and he said, "Why don't you come put a theater here?" And I'm like, "That's crazy." Okay. Yeah.
Sure. That's crazy. Sure, I'll do it.
And then everybody started then other theater companies started calling me like, how'd you do that? I want to do that. So I think that was pretty pioneering.
You had barriers. When did you get, I mean, you have such a great presence, you know what I mean? And that's partially, I mean, you just are a wonderful woman. However, when you were in college, was it in improv class or was it somewhere else where you all of a sudden you had more presence?
That's like the chicken and the egg, right?
Yeah.
Because I think as a child, again, this becomes like nature and nurture and all that. I mean, I was a
Right.
pretty precocious kid.
Good.
I was a pretty outgoing, I was the kid that, the teacher always said, she's smart, but she talks a lot. So, I think I think it was part of who I am and my personality. I think improv is what gave me confidence.
Okay. Okay.
So again, when we start talking about imposter syndrome and what women struggle with, my weight has been up and down and up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
I'm at
Me
my
too.
heaviest right now.
I've lost 1,000 pounds in my lifetime.
Yeah, right,
Well,
right, right. So I've been all over the place weight
Right.
wise,
Right.
and I've always had people say to me, "Hey, you're so comfortable in your skin." And first of all, no, I don't want to be this way.
mhm,
But at the same time, I don't let it hinder
Right.
me or mess with my brain
mhm,
because I've learned to love me for me.
mhm,
Right.
And at my skinniest self, I was like, "Oh, that's too skinny." Right?
Mhm.
But you have to love you for you. And so what improv has done is just given me this confidence. I had a teacher early on who said to me, there in improv classes, I was always the youngest one in the classes because I was 19 and probably the average age was 35 in class.
Okay.
And he said, never lose your childlike,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
mhm.
Because I was
Absolutely.
very childlike. And
Mhm.
the rest of the class sometimes would teach me like, oh, like she's the kid or like they would trust, and that's when I was at my skinniest. They would always typecast me in like the bimbo roles. And at first it would bother me, and then I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna play the best bimbo there is."
Hey,
Like
bimbo's usually the sexiest one on the stage, my dear.
exactly,
So
right?
just, if you got it, flaunt it.
Yeah.
So but I think improv is such a great tool when we talk about young girls. I think it's such a great tool to give to young girls
Yeah.
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 because
All
you
about
become fearless, you
mhm,
build a presence.
yeah. Mhm,
Right, so when I've been on stage for so many years, you have to have a presence.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's a little bit of both. It's improv and it's how
yeah.
I was born.
Well, you say that you have to, but how many people do you see that don't have it?
Fair.
I mean, I see that with my granddaughter because she's just got stage presence,
Yeah.
and it's big stage presence. And when she's in a play, it's very present. It's very um, obvious.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have it?
I've done some studies on this. I've done some research on charisma
Yeah.
and being magnetic because
Mm,
I created a course called Sell Like a Child many years ago because I was fascinated by all the study that I told you about earlier. But there is an it factor that some people have.
mhm,
And when you look at that charisma and that presence, a big part of it is those people walk into a room and they listen to other people
mhm, mhm,
and they care
mhm,
and they show interest. And I've had people say this to me while I was in a conversation with you, and I felt like I was the only person in the room, and you weren't looking around at other people while we were talking. And I think that's a big part of that presence
yeah.
is is being in the mindset of how do the other people standing in front of me feel right now.
Mhm, mhm,
That's the number one rule in improv is to make other people look good, and that will ultimately make them feel good.
Right.
mhm.
And
And
I
that's
think that
and that's also emotional intelligence right
There you
there.
go. There's your, yeah,
yep.
there it is. There it is.
Exactly, it goes right back to that.
Right.
So, do you have you developed a course about the
Sound like a child?
no the improv?
Improvised intelligence?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've
I've got all kinds of deviations of it, yeah. I mean, I've got so many different versions of improvised intelligence because it really encapsulates, communication, validating others and the emotional intelligence piece
Yeah.
of it and the empathy and then collaboration. So
Oh,
it's really a big part of the yes and concept of improv.
Okay.
And I put it into the three buckets of communication, validation, and collaboration.
awesome. Awesome. You know, I'm wondering if at another time, if you wouldn't come, I've got a new series called Open Mic.
Oh, fun.
If you couldn't come on and like teach us a little bit of
Oh,
that.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, I
That'd be a
love
lot of
it. Yeah, because it's so important and it's totally what's up in the business world is this deep listening or presence, you know, and I mean, it's stupid that it hasn't been talked about before, but,
I know.
you know,
Well, and I think every relationship, Gina, can be made better by what you're talking about. It's not just about being in the business world, it's also family life,
Yep.
community life. All of
Yep.
this carries over to, uh, focusing on connecting with people, which is what should bring us joy if we do it well. And
Right.
like you said, encapsulate them in that and let them know there's a huge difference in where your community, your family, your whole relationship venue goes, right?
100%.
right. And how wonderful if I have a leader who has that charisma or presence. You know, so often charisma, the word charisma, you relate to people that have egos, but it's just the opposite.
Right. Right. Like a transfer, when you think about transformational leadership, a transformational leader has charisma,
Mhm.
Right,
but is focused on the people,
Yeah.
right,
right?
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
the winning combination.
People
right.
get to shine.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, oh, you know, you need to go teach those 6 and 7-year-old
Right.
girls this.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, we'll help you develop curriculum for little kids. How's that?
Hey, that sounds great.
I
You know,
love the
because
word magnetism too, because I think that, I thought in a charisma, yeah, but magnetism, when you said you use that word, it made me think about bringing people together.
Mhm,
You are like a magnet to others who want to be part of your tribe. How cool is that?
mhm.
Yeah. That was actually something for me through the years that became very humbling because I do attract people like I'm a Pied Piper, it feels like.
Right, right.
And
Yep.
it took me a while to get comfortable with it. That's probably the only place where I was like kind of thrown off. Like, what's the and I think that's another part of charismatic people that are truly
Yeah,
the magnets in a room because they don't see themselves that way
Right,
right,
right.
right.
at all.
Yeah.
Funny side story or sad side story. In my first marriage, that didn't work out. In counseling, my ex-husband had brought up that because he would go out and not bring me with, and out with friends that were my friends too.
Mutual friends, yeah.
And we brought this up in therapy, and the therapist said, why don't you want her with you? And he's like, she walks in a room,
Right.
everybody wants to talk to her.
His ego was bruised.
You were too much.
His ego was
Yeah, and
Mm.
I'm like, how is that my problem?
right. Why can't you enjoy that and participate along with it? I mean,
But
you can
it's almost a burden, you know, because you have to learn how to um, I don't know, manage isn't the word, but you have to learn how to live with it because it's part of who you are. And it's probably been there since you were a 5-year-old.
Right. Well, if you go back into that, because I'm all about childhood trauma. My mother really struggled, I think, with me having a presence.
Mhm, sure.
Like it bothered her
Mhm.
right.
because I was a daddy's girl, and so it really bothered her. She was always trying to push it down.
Sure. sure.
And then I married someone who I found out through therapy was really like my mother. So I think, that was part of the problem there, that all of a sudden I'm like, here I go again. Like, what, like the little girl in me is like, what
Yeah,
is the problem here? I'm just being Gina.
right.
Right.
The pattern was people wanted to put a sheet over you to cover you up because you were too bright.
Yeah, the wrong people,
Yeah.
right? So
But that was your pattern, sure.
yeah, you have to eventually realize who you are, and that's where again bring improv back to it, and refinding confidence of like, I'm amazing, and if you don't like it,
Right.
then
Oh,
you're not part of my tribe.
there you
Right.
go. There you go.
Then you're
Humor
not part
in
of. It's okay for me to repel people.
Yeah. Well, it's humor in life. I mean, life has a lot of humorous moments that if you can let go of your ego and look back, you can laugh about it and say, okay, that's where I learned the most, maybe, you know?
And they're missing out.
I
they're
mean, my mom called me social butterfly, Gina, and she wasn't giving me a compliment.
I
Yeah.
want to, and
I
that's really comes down to projection. They're projecting onto you what they wish they could be, right?
right.
Mm, yeah, and it's often it's very unconscious. you know,
Exactly,
not
exactly,
doing
and that brings us back to emotional intelligence, right? Like, whenever I'm dealing with people who are troubled, and I do a lot of mediation. I do a lot of employee mediation,
it.
and I get people to the table together. They don't even realize that the bag, they don't dislike each other. They dislike themselves.
They're
Right.
bouncing off their own bubbles.
Yeah, and they're seeing something in each other that reminds them of themselves.
Yeah.
And I come in and I try to break down those barriers.
So
And
you're a therapist too.
yeah,
Yes, yes. Oh, so what? You have any advice for a young magnetic person um, in the on the road to life? What would you tell her? You can tell my granddaughter. She's got beautiful red hair just like you do.
oh, awesome. Um, don't don't listen don't listen to the negativity of others.
The naysayers.
Don't listen to you can't do that.
Mhm.
I never listened to it, but so many people listen to it.
It's tough to not take that feedback personally.
Yeah, so don't listen to the negativity. Go after what you want and always have a backup plan.
So, Gina, just a question. How much healing did it take after your first marriage didn't work out? Did you have a time of self doubt? How did you bring yourself around?
Well, I started therapy before. I mean, I've been in and out of therapy my whole life. I'm a big believer in it. And I started therapy before I left my marriage
Mhm.
because I knew I had to leave it and I didn't know how to do it.
Right.
Especially in a small town where everybody knows each other. So
Yeah.
I started working through it before I left.
Okay.
And that, again, I mentioned that through that therapy, I learned that I had these issues with my mother that I had to resolve.
Right.
Mhm.
So part of the problems in that marriage was marrying someone like my mother
Uh-huh.
and finally getting the courage to leave.
Yeah.
I'm also a person of faith.
Yeah.
I have an executive coach who was a pastor for 30 years. So he also coached me through it,
Good.
through faith of, is it okay for me to leave? I've
Faith.
I've
Yeah.
tried
Right.
everything because I
Mhm.
carried a lot of guilt with that.
Sure.
Hmm.
But the second I left, everything started to change.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like my whole life started to spin and change the second I left. And I met my current husband a year later and married him a year after that. So
Wow.
so I guess I healed pretty quickly.
God's perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really
But
was.
if
He
you
was really
hadn't listened to your heart, though, Gina,
Yeah.
then you would have missed the opportunity to meet the man that is now your husband, right? Correct?
Say
Sometimes
that
it's
again.
all if you had not left, felt directed to leave in your first marriage that was not a healthy marriage or a healthy relationship, you would have missed the opportunity to be married to the man that you are with now.
Exactly. Exactly. And we both
Now it can
know
all
that.
it has much to do with over anything in life can have a lot to do with timing, correct?
100%. And we even said that we're surprised we had never met each other
Mm-hmm.
in a small town because his ex-wife was the sister-in-law of my best friend. Like all these weird,
Small
like how
world.
have we never met?
Yeah.
Hidden place. Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. So this is probably a silly question for you because I'm assuming that you're just awesome at this. But how tough is it for you to have a gut feeling and then go with it?
How tough is it for me to not listen to my gut? Is that
I love it.
Turn that question around.
yeah, yeah, that's a loaded question. I've really that's a really interesting question too, because it's another area that I think especially women have to get help with because throughout my career I had many male bosses who told me I made too many decisions based on my intuition. And so that shut me down to
Right.
not do that. And then again back through improv,
Yeah.
I'm like, but my intuition's usually right. So what I learned was, okay, you got intuition, go now find the facts
Mm-hmm.
to
Well,
back up the intuition and
Right.
then sell them on the facts
yeah.
to
Okay.
prove that your intuition is right.
You got
Right.
credit. Well, and it's back to that improv question. What's the worst thing that could happen?
Exactly. Exactly. But I'm a very intuitive
Yes.
person who like I will do everything on my intuition, but I do slow myself down
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
do research so people don't think I'm crazy.
But you don't really care if you think you're crazy anymore. You're
No, I don't. I don't. And here's the thing, this is the power of persuasion. I know how to get what I want.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
really.
Right? So, okay, I'm going to take my intuition, build it with some facts to persuade you to do it my way.
Yep. There you go.
Good for you.
Well, I've often heard that with people that are, getting high in emotional intelligence. When does it turn into manipulation? But then, you've got standards.
Yeah, I think it depends on who you are, the core of you as a person, right? The core of me is not a manipulative person.
Right.
That's
No,
not who I am.
no.
Even as a I'm a trained sales expert, and I train people in sales and sales conversations, and I'm really good at selling, and I'm really good at closing deals. But I'm never gonna persuade someone to do something that they really don't want to do.
Yeah. Well, I get a kick out of it when I train people in kind of basic leadership. I use the word influence, and influence has got two sides. I can influence you positively, but I can lead you down the wrong path too.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's very good. So we close our conversation with what's one takeaway from our conversation today. So we're going to begin with you, Gina, and then Sandy, and then me, and then we'll sign off for temporarily because you're coming back, girl.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're willing. If you're willing.
Of course.
Oh no, we're going to convince her too.
That's right. That's right.
We're going to influence her
I'm
positively.
already on board.
Okay, good, good.
You got my commitment.
All right.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what takeaway?
So takeaway. I would say probably the last thing we talked about, intuition. I think it's a good reminder that again, kind of like don't listen to the negativity.
Mhm.
Don't doubt your intuition.
Uh,
Don't doubt your intuition. Listen to your gut. It's probably right.
Yep. Amen to that. I agree. Sandy, take away.
Well, I loved, we're talking about the magnetic room. I think that was kind of an aha to me. Yeah, because I've heard charisma, but I think that actually being magnetic almost gives you a little more information about what that looks like.
Mm.
And I really enjoyed our visit, Gina. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Sandy.
Yeah, I've enjoyed all of the conversation, and I'm thinking my takeaway is huge, but I really like when you talk about magnetism, what it talks about, if I can say something, um, what what it means to me is high energy. You've got your baseline of energy is far higher than most people, and it's in a positive realm.
Yeah.
And I guess we didn't talk about that, but it's very present in your presence. And that's what really, in a positive way, without even saying something a lot, brings people up, brings
Yeah.
them toward their joy.
Yeah. I love that. And I think if you channel your magnetism, um, you're actually doing a service for people.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
You're doing God's work, girl.
I try. I try.
Oh, you
Right.
do a good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And would you hang on just for a little bit for a debrief on the other side? But
Sure,
we're going
sure.
to say goodbye to everybody. Bye bye. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for joining us today.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Okay. All right.
Sure.